We're just gonna go live on the YouTubes. Jonah, let me know if we're happening on the YouTubes.
I will let you know when I see it.
Yeah, right on.
You are
We're
live on
just
the
gonna.
YouTubes.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love it. We had some technical issues, but we're used to last minute emergencies, and it's hard to stop us. I mean, it's hard to stop us from meeting the deadline. Let me put it that way. So, can everybody see me fine and hear me fine?
Yep.
Yes.
Right
Yep,
on.
we got
Very
you.
nice to see you guys. Let me just put you all into some kind of a gallery mode so I can see your faces, and that will feel much better to me. Yes, there we go. How's everybody doing, folks? Really good to see you. Wherever you are in the world, hope you're having a fine day. I'm really happy that we get to gather around this virtual campfire that we call Zoom. I'm going to try to make this as as fun and inspirational and human as it is possible. That's always the intent. We are basically broadcasting in two places. So we have the campfire near the fire, which is the Zoom, and then we have the folks that are on YouTube. And the priority, the way that I want to do this is basically, first of all, say a couple of things to masterclass students, allow the masterclass students to ask your questions. And then, if there's time, I know there's some YouTube questions from folks who aren't in the class. So we'll get to those later on. Okay, guys? So a few things that I wanted to say right off the bat is we have Jonah here and Matteo, who some of you might have heard from in an email. They are former masterclass students, and now they're working with me. Jonah's helping more on the academy side, and Matteo's helping more on the production side. So I wanted to bring them here because they represent traveling companions, whereas I might be like, maybe a decade ahead. And that's why I think it makes me a good mentor, because I am a few years ahead on the journey, and I traveled the paths that you're trying to travel right now. Matteo and Jonah are closer to where you are, but slightly ahead, because I've recognized that they have a certain talent and that they have a certain ability, and they already have some achievements actually in the industry. So I want also to have you listen to their perspective, because I think it's hugely valuable. That's the first thing. So Jonah, Matteo, if anything happens to me, if the big brother gets me at some point, you guys take over the meeting, okay? Because I'm having all sorts of technical issues today. So I just wanted to say that. The next thing I wanted to say is that I wanted to give you guys kind of a lay of the land before we get into the questions. State of the industry, so to speak. 2022, it's September. What is it like? Are there jobs out there? Are there projects out there? In fact, Lewis, wherever you are, you asked me that in an email before the meeting. I've actually pinged a few people before this call because I'm not doing that much composing for ads these days. I'm mostly taking care of the academy. We're working on a few jobs for our production company. But I wanted to hear from composers who are actually in the trenches and really busy in the industry. And, everyone seems to say, hey, it's business as usual. Nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed, and that's what I wanted to speak to a little bit here to get you guys up to speed so you can adjust your strategy and think about your approach a little bit, is that more and more, so first of all, there are plenty of jobs available because more and more brands and businesses are doing content. Okay. We live in the age of content, and many of them are not going to be satisfied with Artlist, with Music Bed, with whatever the freaking music banks are out there, because they want something custom. They want a custom tailor suit. You know, they might like a vibe of a certain track, but so what if it doesn't have the crescendo that they want? So I just want you guys to be aware and keep reminding yourself of the fact that there's never been so much content being made. And many of these film directors or creators are wishing they had a songwriter, a composer, somebody that they could sit down with and create a custom creative solution for their project. So that's the first thing. But let me get to the specifics of the trends that we see happening right now in the industry. And that is, you know, the glorious 70s and 80s of big studios and $50,000 music briefs and us flying on planes and snorting all sorts of stuff and schmoozing with the actors. That's pretty much in the past now, you know. So a lot of things have changed since then. A lot of things have changed. You know, the reality is that back in the day, there was a certain barrier to creating music, right? So you had to hire a recording studio. You had to bring in musicians. You had to have a session with the client live inside of the studio. All of that has changed. Now everything is being done remotely. And especially in the past 2 years, I've been talking to my friends all over the world who own recording studios where they used to have sessions for big brands and their campaigns. And they're saying to me that they haven't had a session ever since like the lockdown happened. Like when it came back, people are still not coming over for a session. So things are happening remotely. There is now a widespread availability of tools to create music. So you as a craftsperson have to realize that even though there's like millions of jobs being created every single day, projects, I mean, that require original music, there's also a shitload of musicians today out there. And, you know, everybody has Logic Pro, and a lot of people have learned how to create music on their computer. So there is a lot of competition. And I want to have two insights, takeaways from that before we even get to the questions. The busy composers in the game are telling me that whereas before there was like majority of the projects were briefs, that you would get briefed and you'd have to write something from scratch. Now I'm hearing that yes, there's still a lot of briefs. So what you're going to learn in the masterclass applies. But the one thing we don't talk about that much in the masterclass, and I'm going to create a module around it, is the fact that there are more pulls, quote unquote, pulls happening in the business today. What's a pull, quote unquote? It's really literally pulling a track from the archive. Now, I think this is actually good news. Okay. And let me just elaborate for those who might not still understand what a pull is. When you contact a music production company that specializes in advertising, they can either commission you to create a demo, or they can ask you, hey, Jonah, actually, we're working on a Nike campaign right now, and we're needing something like, Max Richter means Hans Zimmer or whatever the brief is, right? Do you have anything like that in your archives? And more in our industry now, we have this concept of pulls where the producer, like me, might first ask you, do you have anything in your archives? Either we don't have the time, or we don't have the budget, or we have very little risk tolerance to try somebody new and pay them to compose a demo, and then we don't know how it's going to turn out. But this is a fantastic way, guys, to get your foot in the door. But you have to have an archive of music, okay? So for those of you who are still working on your craft, I always recommend, like, even if you don't have any projects, set aside 90 minutes every single day and score an ad. browse for ads on YouTube, on Ads of the World, and get into a daily habit of just scoring ads. Why do I say this? Because whatever time you put in, the 60 minutes, the 90 minutes, even 3 hours to score something that's not even a real project, number one, you're growing your skills. In this particular context of writing a song that moves swiftly with the visuals, which is different from just writing a song. Number two, so you're getting better. That's number one. Number two, you're collecting now music for your archive. You're growing your archive. And guess what? The best part about this, number three, is that you're not just collecting music in your archive, but whoever you share this music with, like me, let's say, a music producer, they're going to go, wow, that really sounds like it could be in a commercial, That really sounds like I can picture this on a film. I could picture this in like a story setting. And you'll be like, yeah, no shit, because I wrote it to a commercial. And you don't have to say that. You can, whatever. You can choose not to reveal where the song comes from, what the origins of the track are. But that's the one thing that I wanted to mention right away, is the idea of pulls. Everybody's dealing with this. Okay, the busiest composers in our game are now telling me we have a lot more pulls happening these days. So people just pinging us and going, hey, do you have a Miley Cyrus like track? Do you have Dua Lipa kind of like track? Do you have a Kanye West like this, but without the vocals? And hey, the more you've been at work creating this kind of stuff, the more likely that when you get that opportunity, and the opportunity is more likely now. I want you to notice this with pulls, because pulls are a very low sort of commitment and risk level for someone trying you out. So whereas like a lot of us are hoping, and that's what we teach in the masterclass, is I want you to develop a relationship with producers and get a demo fee and get commissioned to write a demo. The fact is, because there's a lot more pulls now, that's an easier way for you to get in, because the producer might resist setting aside a budget for someone they've never worked with before, when they already have like 10, 15 composers that they've enjoyed working with for the past 20 years. But the fact now that this pulls thing is happening, it allows you to, for them, it's like nothing. It's 5 seconds for me to ask you, hey, do you have anything like this for the campaign? And if you happen to have one and it actually suits the campaign, I mean, you're pretty much in the door now. Right? So the likelihood of you making the connection once you send the right pull, the right demo from your archive is much greater, because the producer actually, at the end of the day, they don't give a shit how you made the music, where it comes from. All they care about, all I care about, is that in the next 48 hours, I send the right, or what feels like the right musical answer to my client. So, the more stuff you have in your archive, and the more of it that sounds like it's in this format, 30, 60, 90, and it has chapters, intro, development, climax, the more likely that, it's going to resonate with them. So pulls, please, guys, for those of you who are still working on the craft, just create music every damn day and do it to a commercial. And just the fact that you write it to a commercial, it gives you much higher probability that that track is licensable in the future. If you write track, I mean, if you just sit down with your guitar and you just write songs, sure, you might bang out a great song, but not necessarily one that has the potential to get licensed, because you're not considering the visual, the story, the context at all. Whereas when you're working on a visual, interesting. Whereas when you're working on a visual, you have to make the song collaborate with the story. And that's why I'm saying it's going to increase your probability of your archive being way more licensable, by music producers like me in the business. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing I wanted to say is, for those of you who are unfamiliar with disco.ac, I believe, that is a playlist app that many of the top composers use in our business. And that's where you're going to archive all the demos that you're doing every single day. Okay. This is basically like the industry standard now, where if I ask you, hey, can you send me like whatever you have that's Dua Lipa, but it fits this commercial. And you go to Disco. Disco allows you to search for all your music, which you can tag within Disco in all sorts of ways. And then you can prepare custom playlists that you send to me. And there's a whole shitload of stuff that you can do inside of Disco to manage your archives and your catalog. But I just wanted to mention that because it's not in the masterclass, and we have to do this. Module because this is a topic that's coming up more and more now. So if you guys haven't heard of Disco, I think it's Disco AC. Maybe Jonah slap a link in the comments. And that's the second thing I wanted to say. The third thing I wanted to say before I start taking questions is, guys, because there's a lot of musicians in this business, more and more, because the barriers are down to creating music. Now more than ever, it's important for you to find a way to intersect your sound with what's happening in the marketplace, but to make sure that your sound is a signature sound. And I always say to people, if you can sing, if you're a songwriter, please, please, please lay down your voice on the track, make it a hook. Because there's nothing like a track where I know who's in the house. I know who's in the house. And the opposite of that is like somebody who just makes a bunch of instrumental tracks that don't have a vocal, that don't have a signature sound. You know, is that rare? Is that remarkable? Is that difficult to make? No, it's not. Therefore, prepare yourself for a very difficult journey in knocking on doors. It just is what it is, guys. 20 years ago, if I created a cool breakbeat with a cool bass line and arpeggiator, that was enough. Because it was like, oh shit, where did he get that? Because the access to sounds was not so widespread. It was difficult to get a good sound back then. Today, that's not the case anymore. So now I really encourage you guys to, you know, if you're a singer-songwriter, man, just lace these compositions with vocals, because a vocal increases the probability of the track becoming now special. Not so easy to copy. It has a signature sound, and it will stand you out from a sea of composers who are all dabbling and you know, creating reels and trying to get in touch with these music producers. If you don't sing, create a signature sound of your own. It doesn't have to be a vocal, or pair up with a vocalist or 5 or 6 or 7 of them and get in the studio with them. And I promise you that your tracks will be noticed more. Okay. Jonah, Matteo, is there anything else that you think I should say or that I should mention? That's all I had on my list, I think.
I think it's a good intro. Perfect.
Good intro?
Yeah, I think
Yeah?
so.
Okay. Okay. Well, guys, by the way, when I'm talking, do you see just my talking head or do you see the gallery view? Like, do you see everyone now?
On YouTube, it's the gallery, but it depends on how people have their Zoom set up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't I spotlight myself? Check now, Jonah, if it's my talking head. I should have had this up probably the whole time, but whatever. It'll happen 20 seconds later.
Yeah. Also, for anyone who doesn't have the chat open or have seen, the Disco link is in the Zoom chat if you want to check that out.
Okay, yeah, check that out, guys. And we're going to make a module about that soon. I mean, there's not much to talk about, you know. The concept is fairly easy, that you should build an archive and it should be easily searchable. It should be well categorized, and it should be full of stuff that when you send it to someone, they go, holy shit, that sounds like it could be in an ad. Yeah, no shit. Just, you know, help yourself that way. In fact, I don't know how to finish a track any other way. I think I've just been programmed by the advertising life for the past 20 years. I don't know how to finish a track, you know. But if I have like a 90-second film in front of me and like a morning or afternoon to finish it, I'm going to get it done. Because I know there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. You know, with the track, I just never know when it's over. I don't know where to start, where to end. So some of you might be like, hey, this is a godsend, man, having like a film to score to. So yeah. Okay, guys, this is now your time. Please, please ask me questions. If we have questions in the chat, Jonah, please see if there's any good stuff there. And I'm all yours, guys. Raise your hand, and maybe Jonah, you. Yeah. By the way, guys, like when I say raise your hand, I think there's a thing down here in your options. Reactions, it's called, right? Is that what it is? How do you raise a hand, Jonah? Do you know in Zoom?
Yeah, under reactions, it's raise hand. It's the last.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So do it that way. Let's raise our hand like virtually. And then Jonah, you are Saint Peter at the gates of heaven, and you are letting people in one at a time. And hopefully I can make your life a little easier with something insightful.
Hey, Paul, let's bring you in real quick. Let me pin you.
Paul Pringle. Oh, you're gonna pin. Okay, good. Yeah, perfect.
And if you could unmute yourself, Paul.
Hi.
Hello, Paul. How you doing?
I'm good. Good to be here, Tommy.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
Yeah, a quick question with just what you were talking about with regards to scoring the ads there, from YouTube or whatever. How do you feel about putting those works that you've done on your show reel, like, so it's not your video material? Does that make you look unprofessional, do you think? Or is it better just put the music on and forget about the film that you've been working to?
The best answer I can give you for this is don't put work that you haven't officially worked on on your website. Put the music on there, okay? And if you ever encounter, as many of our students will or have done, a producer saying, I think your music is good, but I really need to see it to a visual. Personally, I'm allergic to that kind of answer. I have zero tolerance for that. Because for me, it's like, well, if the music is good, it's good. Like, let me, I'm gonna throw you an edit. I want to see how you now do with the visuals. But some producers are this way, where they're like, I need to see it to the music. And keep in mind, guys, it's not like, it's like, I don't know what the percentage would be, but some of them will want to see your music to picture. In that case, what I recommend is that you share a link with them of this stuff, and just be frank. Just say, hey, like, what do you think? I think, I've been writing music for a while. So the question of craftsmanship is it's not really a question for me. I can turn around stuff really fast, and I feel very comfortable in this particular genre. But I just learned about this industry. This crazy Tommy Zee guy just like told us that you can actually, make a living doing this, these commercials. So I've just been like, songwriting to commercials, and I really want to get in. But the reality is I don't have that much on my reel. So that's what I would say. Earnest email, go, here's some stuff that I've done. You can even say that, like, don't talk a lot, just, be very brief in your emails. Don't explain, because when you explain, things get complicated and nobody gives a shit anyway. Okay. So don't explain, just tell the truth, but be like very, very brief. It's how I talk to the tax man or the judge. It's like, I don't get into the details, man. It's just like, you just say, hey, this is what I've worked on recently. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Okay. And you can choose to say, by the way, this didn't go final. This is just a demo I've done. It's whatever your level of comfort is. Or you can say, because I'm new, I've just been practicing to these, but it will definitely do the trick of giving you an idea of what I would do if I had a visual and I had to score it. That's what I would do. Private link, not on the website.
Just a quick follow-up to that, if that's okay.
Sure.
With regards to the layout of putting a show reel on your website, would you say it would be better to kind of, on your course, you kind of do sort of the best of moments of your tracks and then edit them together quite quickly?
Yep.
What about if somebody comes back to you and they want to see the development in your track rather than just that you're the best of? So that's two differing sort of opinions I'm getting at the moment. As I see, so would it be best to do like a quick edit type of thing towards ad music, and then maybe a longer show reel towards if you were trying to get involved with film, for example?
Yeah, because I was wondering, like, how would that context come about? So is it like music supervisors or something that are involved in film that are saying to you, I'd love to hear a fully developed track?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm thinking that if I just had the best of short bits on my website, that maybe some people aren't seeing how you can develop a track fully. They're just hearing snippets.
What I always recommend is that the snippets should be from a fuller track.
Yeah.
So my recommendation is always like spend the next 90 days scoring an ad every day. And then you have 90 tracks to work with, which you scored in an advertising context.
Yeah. Sorry.
Which you will then cut into the reel, which means that if some track is interesting to someone, you go, well, I have a 90-second version of that track.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. I guess I was just thinking of, the kind of somebody wanting to see that development on the website itself from beginning to end, rather than them coming to you just asking for that short snippet.
It's unlikely.
Right.
If you consider the context of how we work, we don't have time to look at anybody's website. You're not, I mean, that's the context. This is why the teaching is what it is, because it's working backwards from like looking at how me and other producers check our email. Like when I'm working on an ad campaign, that's all I'm thinking about. I'm not even talking to my wife. And like, I don't have time to browse websites and see which one of these 48 files from the 56 composers will be the right one. So like I always go to the musicians who have proven themselves to answer a creative problem on a very short deadline with accuracy. They do it reliably. So that's my filter, right? Because otherwise, like, where would I start? How many websites would I have to check and which ones? So that's why I'm saying to you, and that's why we teach, like, build your website so that there's a big play button. Like, so a 2-year-old can like slap it. And then they go, holy, the first 5 seconds was great. This guy might be all right. I don't know. Hey, Paul, do you have something in the style of Dua Lipa? And that's how the relationship begins.
Yeah, great.
And maybe it continues if you actually send me something that answers the brief. And then I actually remember your last name the second time we talk.
Yeah.
Because the first time, honestly, guys, it's not personal. It's just like, we're all like this with horse blinders on. There's bullets flying everywhere. We have 24 hours to deliver an amazing track. And and we have nothing yet. So that's why it's like the context is I don't have time. So I need a big play button. And then secondly, this is why I talk about relationships. Like the reality is the reason why Matteo and Jonah and a few other people like Pedro and Luis, the reason why they're like closer in my circle is because they went above and beyond to develop the relationship. Like, Matteo, how many times did you email me and I never answered you?
Many times. I don't know like the exact number, but it was,
And Jonah, I don't recommend this, by the way, guys. Jonah had the audacity to call me on WhatsApp. And I'm like, hello? I'm like, what is this number? I don't even know. And Jonah's like, hey, Tommy, it's Jonah. And I'm like, oh, hey, Jonah. And what did you say? You said like, well, I don't have anything specific to talk about, man, but I just wanted to like kind of connect with you and get to know you a little better. Like right away, I'm just like, oh man, because it's kind of like bred into us. Like we've become kind of robotic in that sense, like isolating ourselves from the world and like keeping everyone at an arm's length.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, I'm not the kind of guy to turn away a good conversation or a good connection. It's just a question of time, right? Because there's so much coming at us today through all of our electronic media. But the reality is, he kind of like, I guess, took a gamble, and it's like, okay, Jonah, yeah, let's talk. And in one conversation, and then another conversation, and I mean, I did the same thing. It was like 20 years ago, 17 years ago, but I pretty much did the same thing. I just would not let up, I would not let up. And the key really, guys, is, and we struggle with this also as music production companies, except we're trying to get at the agencies, whereas you're trying to get at the music producers at the music production companies.
Yeah.
Is the biggest challenge is like making the connection. That's one thing. And like you might be having a Zoom call or even a cool chat, but until you have the opportunity to show your sensibility, the conversation hasn't really advanced in any meaningful way. That's why I'm just like, I don't like the bullshit talk with the agencies. It's like, guys, I know we just high-fived each other on a Zoom call and you love our reel, and like we're gonna sing Kumbaya and it's gonna be amazing. But like, until you send us a goddamn brief and we have a chance to show you, like, either we're sensible or we're not, or we're interesting in our approach or we're not really getting the conversation anywhere. So that's the biggest trick. Like, I almost say to people, and I don't know if this is right or not, I have to meditate on this and like think about it. But like, I would almost go as far as to say, if somebody tells you, like, hey, yeah, that's great, we'll keep you on file or something like that, I'd almost be like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe you shouldn't push back, but I would almost push back and say, I'm not an on file kind of person. Like, I just, it's like, we're going to make our lives more fruitful if you give me a creative problem to solve. Do you have any right now that I can solve? I'm happy to do the first one for free. And they go, yeah, okay, here. And that's how it happens a lot of times. Honestly, like, that's how it happens a lot of times. Like, oh, here, Matteo, you can speak to this because you email music houses like 49 times and they don't respond to you and you don't give a shit. You should speak to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Please tell us your experience.
Yeah, it's been very, very challenging because you're trying. First of all, you're even a little bit insecure because you're trying to, you're at the very beginning of your journey. So even you're not maybe so confident with your music. I mean, you never had that kind of, feedback in a way. So when you go out there and you're trying to create relationships with these people, it's kind of tricky. So when you see there's no replies, and you just have to be very brave in a way, and just, you just, until that was my rule at some point. Until I get a no as an answer, I won't stop. So I'm gonna write you back even 50 times. Then maybe, and honestly, I never had a no as a reply. Maybe like pretty much all the time, people were like, yeah, sorry, I mean, apologize, I forgot to answer, or maybe I just I didn't have the time, I lost your email in the inbox, or something like that. So, and and sometimes, like, one of the biggest shots that I had, it was after 1 year and a half of reaching out to a music house in Paris. And after all that time, I got this big shot for the sound logo Royal Canin, and I won that, but like after 1 year and a half. So it's just a matter of being, to to know your kind of direction, your goal, and to not, you know, let anybody stop you, even if you get an answer like, "Oh, your music is shit," which probably won't happen. But even if it happens,
Never know.
you go. I think.
Well,
That's
I
my
mean,
opinion.
and we recently spoke about this in the context of us reaching out to agencies, so playing at the higher level as a music production company. And what did I say, Matteo, to you when we email agencies? So now you're talking about like producers at big ad agencies in New York who are working on Nike spot, and we're trying to get a meeting with them, you know, as a music production company. And, you know, and Matteo's doing the same thing. And like, we just recently spoke about this. And I said, Matteo, if somebody ever writes you on a 9th email, like, "You're so irritating, why do you keep emailing me?" I want you to craft this response. "Hello, dear producer. I'm certainly sorry if I irritated you. I did not mean to do this. But sending you 9 emails is a testament to my commitment, to my commitment as a serious craftsperson to make this connection with you."
Yeah.
How many people have emailed you 9 times? And they probably won't answer that, you know, it's many, because it's not, it won't be. Most people give up after 2, 3, 4 times. So, you know, if your portfolio is in order, if your skills are remarkable, and it's not just your mom telling you that, but you have industry insiders, you've had feedback from us in the masterclass, and Matteo has told you, yes, this is good shit. You can step into the world with full confidence and email people 11 times. Don't be an asshole. Don't be irritating, of course.
Yeah.
But be persistent, be polite. And whenever anyone ever gives you a hard time, just say to them, "This is a testament to my commitment to making a connection with you. And the way I email you 9 times is the way I'm going to work for you when you actually give me an opportunity." I'm sorry I'm yelling, but I'm passionate about
It's
it.
never been one of my, yeah.
Right?
It's never been one of my strong points, selling myself,
I
and
understand.
it's something
You're
which
in a room
basically-
full of
basically
you're-
needs to can.
You're in
Yeah.
a room full of sensitive musicians. We are all
Yeah.
on the same page with you. Maybe I'm more like I'm a Gemini, so I have 2 personalities.
Yeah.
I have the
Right.
humble, shy, uncertain. I mean, Matteo knows this, you know, constantly wondering. That's one side. And then I have the other guy that comes through sometimes, just killer, you know?
Yeah.
This killer instinct. And I know some of you guys won't have that killer instinct. Here's the good news. You're not selling vacuum cleaners. You're not selling real estate. You don't have to be a great salesperson. The music,
Yeah.
if it is remarkable, it will do the selling for you. All you have to do is be the vehicle that delivers it to the world,
Yeah.
persistently
Yeah.
and politely, of course.
Yeah.
But if your music is not remarkable, that's something to work on, certainly. I don't advocate that you pound on doors with mediocre music and then wonder why the world's not being fair. And then talk about commitment to craft if your music is mediocre. I mean, it all doesn't work then, right? It just doesn't work. But
Yeah,
if,
you've gotta-
like, if
you've got to be
let's
able
say
to
I email
recognize-
someone,
Sorry.
sorry, let me finish. If I email someone 15 times and they finally go, "Fuck this guy, I can't believe another," I mean, seriously, they go to the website and they see the reel, they might be like, "Oh, okay, interesting. Okay, because they never checked it. So they just saw me as some annoying dude." So it's the same for you. If you email them persistently, they finally go to the website and you don't disappoint them there.
Yeah.
Then you're free to say, "Hey, I respect myself. I take myself seriously as a craftsperson, and the way I'm emailing you is just a testament to how I'm going to work with you when you give me a project. 9 revisions, 12 revisions. What is it to me who sends 15 emails to a single person over a year time span, right?"
Yeah, cool. And if it doesn't get through, it was never meant to be with that person anyway. So at least you tried.
Exactly. Guys, I mean, there's a lot of people in the world. don't like tunnel focus on any one person.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We don't do that. We're, you know, we're contacting everyone all around the world, and if they respond, they respond. If they don't, we're already planting other seeds.
Yeah, cool.
So definitely don't worry about people not responding. It's 99%, no, 100% of it is not personal. People are busy. You have to catch them at the right time. We always keep saying that, but like it's probably worth repeating. But the moment, guys, the moment I can't overstate this enough. The moment someone does reply and they say, "Do you have anything in this genre? Do you have anything like this?" And you don't, say you do, and spend the whole night working on it
That's what I was
and
doing.
deliver it as soon as you can, because that's your opportunity. Like, I can't stress this enough. It is on those little moments that your entire journey hinges.
Yeah.
I spent probably a year or two doing shit for free. But I didn't see it that way, because one of the first spots I ever did was this Gatorade spot. I didn't get paid for it. I was doing a favor to this music house that, like, 3 years later, I'd be a co-owner of this music house. I didn't know that at the time. At the time, I was just a gopher. In fact, the producer who was producing this Gatorade spot, he said, because he heard my reel, right? And he loved it. And so I'm in this room and I'm feeling like a little kid in a candy store, because I'm seeing on the big screen the Gatorade edit. And I'm like, oh, wow, I get to make music for that. And the producer was kind of an asshole. Like, it was this older guy. I'm not going to mention names. And he said, yeah, you're good at this electronic stuff. So, like, why don't you take like an electronic track? And the idea is maybe like lace it with like a great speech that everyone knows. Here's like a CD set of the 20 or 50 greatest speeches ever done. See if you can chop up the speech to your electronic track. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I had some questions. And he looked at me and said, what are you still doing here? And I was just like, oh, you don't talk to me that way. But I kind of didn't, I didn't say that, because I was just in the beginning. I knew my place. But I said, oh, shit, I'm never going to talk to somebody like that, But I did spend that whole night, like, delivering the best demo I could. And it got to the final. It never made the final. But that doesn't matter that it didn't make the final. All that matters is that producer, who was an asshole to me, he now knew that I'm not just some kid. Like, when he asked me to solve a creative problem, I'm going to give him a solution that he will be proud to present to the agency that's going to make him look good. And that's the game, really.
Yeah.
Cool. Paul, so I hope I answer. I mean, I feel like I've been ranting for an hour, and like, there's probably like tons of questions.
Not sure I can remember what I asked now, but yeah, that's all good, Tommy. Cheers, mate.
Right on, Paul. If there's anything else, let us know.
Cool.
And I'm not going to leave anyone behind, guys. So please, if you have questions, talk to me and I try to help you out. Okay, Jonah, who's next?
Stephen Scott, let's bring you in.
Stephen Scott.
Tommy.
Hey,
Hey,
man, how you
everybody.
doing?
How's it going? I'm doing wonderful. It is an honor and a pleasure to be talking to you live right now. I'm in the middle of the masterclass right now, loving every minute of it, and the whole thing is giving me goosebumps, as you like to say.
Yeah, I love to hear that.
But so I actually wrote my question down like a couple weeks ago, and so I'm just going to jump to it because I don't want to screw it. So I know my image there is going to be going to my typical picture, but anyway, so the demos. This is when I was watching the thing about the 40 Creek example.
Yep.
So with regard to the demos that you got back for the 40 Creek project sounded so identical to the actual reference track that you were sent from the client. So yep. I know that the reference track was sent as an example of the tone that they wanted, but I was actually surprised at how close the demos that came back were to that. And so personally, that kind of, when I noticed that, it was a jarring moment for me, and because I would have been very wary not to do something too close to it, as not to get rejected because it was too similar.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do I kind of balance that? Obviously, making sure that it's with the right tone, and then
Yeah.
it's sort of a birds of a feather kind of thing without being too
I have a
close.
very clear answer for you, because
Okay.
multiple times we've been in a situation where we've been asked to come close to a reference. And then when we did, the agency got afraid because a bunch of people are getting sued, especially in the US. Now you don't even have to sound like very similar. There are court cases going on that boggle my mind about like, it's just like people see it as an opportunity to sue someone. But I've had countless conference calls with musicologists who I've used very often. His name is Peter Oxendale. You guys can look him up online. He's an older guy. I mean, I don't know. He's probably pushing 80 now, but he's been in court for all the biggest cases, like the big stars and all that. And so we hire him occasionally to give us, there are two levels of approval. One is like a phone call, so he doesn't actually put anything on paper. That's just like a consultation. He'll say, Tommy, go ahead with this. It's fine, but you never heard it from me. So it's kind of my risk to do it if I want to do it. And then he can write you an actual letter to say, I've analyzed this and here's my seal. As a musicologist, I can testify to the fact that this does not infringe on any copyrighted material. Out of the conversations that I've had with him, the thing that keeps coming up all the time is, first of all, change the key. Don't be in the same key. Number two, don't do the same rhythmic pattern of anything, whether it's a guitar, whether it's a bass line or whatever. Change the rhythmic pattern, right? And of course, don't make the melody the same. Invert the melody, try to change it. The key to a great sound alike is to take the vibe of it. Like, spring reverb on a blues guitar well played, that's not copyrightable. There's no copyright infringement on it. So the whole art and skill of like coming close to a reference is like, make it sound like the Black Keys, but there's nothing for anyone objectively to attach to. It's not the same key. It's not the same melody. It's not the same like rhythmic pattern. But it just sounds like something Black Keys would do. Do you know what I mean? Because then there's no objective copyright claim. Like, what? Okay, so what? Yeah, so, we had this with, for instance, like I had a brief to do the Godfather thing. Well, obviously we can't do the Godfather. But if I do a violin that goes, dee, 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 right? And you see a bunch of Mafia guys, like the association is automatic. You might even go, isn't that the Godfather? But then if you actually listen to them closely, you go, it's nowhere close. But there's ways to basically create that feeling and make it like seem like it without, but the most important thing I told you, change the key, don't do the same melody, and even if the bass line goes bump 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 bump, don't do bump 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 bump, change the rhythm. Change the rhythm of the notes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because even as I listened to the reference track that was provided with the brief, as you're doing your, I was watching your class, and I'm like already envisioning, how I might approach it, right? That just happens naturally as I'm watching, you kind of unravel the story. And then when you displayed the versions that you got back, I was like, wow, those are like really, really close. And so I guess, in a healthy way, I was sort of a step in the right direction, but I just wanted to know, kind of be clear on the nuances there. So, thank you so much.
Stay away from anything that's objectively copyrightable.
Mm-hmm.
I could make something sound like something else, but unless I'm taking their melody or the way they, stagger the notes or whatever, I mean, But it is an issue. And one thing that I would urge you as freelance songwriters, composers, is if you ever realize that your demo sounds like something else, like very close, and we've had this situation happen, even like in our productions, where one of our composers suddenly realized, oh wow, this is like almost like note for note something else, but I didn't do it on purpose, you know. But if you ever do realize it, please let the music producer know, because remember, the currency, the value is in your relationship with the music producer. You never want to put them at risk.
100%.
And they're the ones worried, right? So like they're gonna worry about it themselves, but help them, So it's a good thing you brought this up. It's a good thing you brought this up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. All the best, and hope the journey is going well. Okay, Jonah, what do you think? Who should we?
Felipe, let's bring you in.
Hey, Felipe.
Hey, hello everyone.
How's it going,
Hi.
man?
All good, thank you. Nice to meet you, Tommy, and everyone.
Yeah, you too.
I got two questions that are quick. One would
Sure.
be, I noticed that Wave Apps is not available in Mexico. So I would like to ask you if any free accounting tool will make it to work. And the other one is between Orchestral Essentials 1 and Symphobia. Which one would you choose to start with cinematic strings for starters? That would be.
Between Orchestral Essentials and Symphobia?
Yeah.
Let me address that question first. And guys, whoever feels competent to answer that, please jump in. Jonah, it might be you, because I'm not really, directly involved with the plugins, but I guess the answer really depends on what it is that you do, and how deep that you want to go into the orchestral thing.
Okay, thank you.
I've
but like, tell me, because I need to know, Felipe, like, is your sound about orchestral, or are you like, let's say, an electronic guy who does a bit of orchestral?
I'm a bit more of an electronic, but
Yeah.
I would like to start doing more stuff with strings.
Go with Symphobia, I would say, but I don't know. What do you guys think, Jonah, Mateo?
Yeah.
If you haven't heard of it, Spitfire Audio has a BBC Discovery that's completely free. If you just want to mess around with doing more orchestral stuff, that's a free option. They have bigger paid versions that, like I have Professional, is pretty nice, but like if you're just like starting in the orchestral stuff, I would definitely recommend the Discover. I'll put a link in that in chat. I just have to find it real quick, but for sure, I haven't messed with Symphobia, but I know that what is it? Metropolis. I think that's another one. I know a lot of people use that.
Metropolis.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Which one is that, Mateo, that you have?
I'm not really an orchestral guy, but I'm using Metropolis Arc 2.
Yeah.
And that's very powerful. Like when I was composing the sound logo for Royal Canin, it was just orchestral, and they really wanted to have some real string sound, and that worked, and actually it's sounding pretty cool. But like if you need something, I think Jonah is right, because if you're not completely an orchestral guy, but you're like more likely to trying to mix like between electronics and something orchestral, you can even start with something for free, because sometimes like even when you have a lot of free sounds which are sounding good, but like when you're looking for this kind of blend, even if you have something that just by itself sounds kind of weird because maybe it's not sounding that good, if you're trying to blend that with an electronic environment, maybe you can even have something very interesting coming up. So unless you're doing something completely orchestral, which of course, requires very good sounds, if you're trying to mix both things, I would experiment with everything that you can even find for free, for sure.
Actually, let me bring Pedro in here, because
Yeah.
Pedro's actually done work with us on on a few major campaigns where he surprised the hell out of us with his orchestral sounds, basically. Where are you, Pedro? I'm trying to find you in these little windows here to bring you into.
He said he can't give us video or audio right now.
Oh, Pedro, I love that. Make yourself unaccessible. It just totally raises your stock price. I dig it.
I remember when we were having like the meeting for the Qatar project. I think it was probably a couple of months ago. We spent basically all the night, because for me it was midnight, 1 a.m., something like that, because actually it was when you were here in Italy, Tommy, so that I came back, that I had the call with Pedro for the Qatar. So I spent like 2 hours in the middle of the night with him, and he was writing like down like so many plugins, stuff for free. Like he's the
okay guy. So Pedro, maybe if you can, I don't know what you're doing now, but if you can, like, give us like top 3 to start.
He put in the
don't
chat,
give us like the
free libraries that are great.
Yeah, don't give us like the like the advanced stuff, but like I think Felipe is looking for, like, if I have one, where should I start with? Give him that. I would say Symphobia has worked really well for me. It has everything that you need orchestral wise, but even beyond. It has some really sweet things also beyond orchestral to sweeten your compositions up. Okay, I want to get to other folks. Oh, Felipe, by the way, I don't know of any other accounting software. And what I would suggest, so for instance, like I have a company in Poland and I have a company in Canada, and so I will use Wave for Canada, but I don't use it in Poland because of the tax implications here. Like things are different, invoices have to be done differently. So I actually use like a solution that's like from here. You know what I mean? So I would look for a local accounting solution, because then it will make you compliant with, like, okay, how does the invoice have to be? Maybe it has to be in your own language. That's true in Poland, for instance, that I need to have it in Polish for the tax authorities. So that's why I can't really use Wave, because it won't translate into Polish. So I'm sorry I can't help you there.
It's cool, got it. I'll search for another alternatives.
Right on. Symphobia in every iteration, says Pedro. So go for Symphobia.
Thank you.
Right on, Felipe. If there's anything else ever, you know where to find us, okay? Okay, who's next?
Nathan, let's bring you in.
Hey, everyone.
Maybe spotlight him, Jonah, because I'm getting confused with all the windows over here.
Hey, Jonah. Hey, Tommy. Hey, Matteo.
Hey.
Hope you guys are doing well. And thanks for taking the time out of your daily lives to, do these sessions for us. It's really so helpful, and it means a lot to us. And Matteo,
we're going to do it every month. We decided we're going to do it every month. So,
awesome.
So that's what we're going to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And also thanks for reviewing all our homeworks. It means a lot for y'all to take the time to do it. I just have a question, a really quick one. So I've gone through all the classes all the videos in the masterclass, and I'm in the stage where I'm reaching out to music production houses, and I'm just like thinking as a long-term goal, like maybe 1 year down the line or 2 years down the line, I'd like to aim to get like maybe 3 to 4 demos per week in order to generate a semi-consistent income stream. From your experiences, is that kind of frequency attainable? Is it like possible to manage the number of briefs coming in per week, or do you sort of have to relinquish control and instead work with a crazy, unpredictable
you
schedule?
Can do it. Of course, everything depends on your skill. So, but I actually emailed Naren, who most of you know, who I set up as a model for you guys. He is like, this is your Jesus. You keep your eyes on him, okay? Because He is doing exactly that. He's doing a demo, 2, sometimes 3 demos a day. He's making a better living than an average musician just from demos, not even finals. So I wanted him just to pop in the beginning to tell us like how it's going, but he said he's got a deadline to meet. He's working on a demo. It is totally attainable. The reason you're going to do it is because you have made enough connections so that creates the conditions for 3, 4, 5 demos to pop up every week. So if you make the connections with busiest music houses, I mean, you know, they're working on like 10 jobs at a time, right? So it all depends on your skill. Like if you're able to do a demo a day, go for 2 demos a day if you're able, you know, but never, and this is an important point. I've had demos that I felt were called in. When I say called in, the composers were busy and they didn't want to say no to me and they did a demo, but I can tell it was done at the end of the day for half an hour and it was shit. Mm-hmm. And you know, when we producers get together for a beer, we always say, man, this is happening too often lately. So be careful of being a victim of your success. Don't ever commit to a job that you feel you cannot do magic on, because it's only going to hurt your reputation. And who gives a shit about a demo fee in the long run? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'd rather pass on the 250 and keep my reputation, like Pedro, right? Pedro, can you come talk to us? No, I can't. Well, okay, you know, it's like still 100% reputation. I don't see him any, you know what I mean? What if he showed up and said something stupid? Oh, now we got like, oh, I don't know about this Pedro guy, you know? So be careful with that. Like with sometimes committing, the demo might not be up your alley. Just say, this is not up my alley. If you feel you can knock it out of the park and you have the time, do it. It's totally attainable, man.
Awesome.
And I wish you that. I want to see you here a year from now saying consistently every week I'm doing demos.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Right on, brother. Bye, Nathan. Okay. Jonah, who else we got?
Arjun, I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly, but let's bring you in here.
Hey, yeah, it's Arjun. Almost there, like.
Okay, awesome.
Arjun, so, like urgent, almost.
Yeah, the U there is like urgent. Yeah, for sure. So I'm kind of new. I guess I just joined in like a few days ago. So I'm kind of going through week 1, almost done with week 1. So kind of in that zone right now. So I could ask more questions, but I feel like I should not waste time and go through everything and then see what I want to ask. But I was just kind of curious about if, Tommy, you've been reading something good, or if you read something impactful recently, what you've been enjoying, kind of.
Let me think about what I'm reading nowadays that I can recommend. I'm just trying to remember the name of the book. The funny thing with me is I read like 7, 8 books at a time. And they're all like, you know, it could be finance, it could be philosophy, it could be arts, it could be like personal development. Let me at least look at my iPad, because I always have like on my Kindle some of the, I know that I'm reading some good stuff now, but it's all kind of a blur to me. Let me see. Yeah, it's like there's so many books and so many of them. I'm just like, I don't know if I want to recommend this, you know, because did it make a difference? I don't know.
I mean, I guess most recently can recall that you enjoyed reading, you know?
So there's this book, and I don't remember what it's called, but it's basically the fictional account of Van Gogh's life. And it's by Irving. Let me just see if I can look this up. Irving Stone, I want to say. Irving Stone, American writer, Van Gogh. I'm just looking it up. Yeah, it's called Lust for Life. Lust for Life, Irving Stone, and it's the story of Van Gogh, but in a fictional way, but not like fabricated. So this guy, Irving Stone, he's not with us anymore. I mean, he wrote these books like 100 years ago. He went to painstaking detail to learn about everyone that he writes a story about. So the details you're going to have in this story are crazy. So right now I have on my bedside the same author, but he's writing about Michelangelo. And like the story takes you from the time he was a child to getting invited to work with different masters until he gets invited to be sponsored by Medici's and living with them. It's crazy. And I really enjoyed this kind of format where it's a story. It's not a biography. It's more like a story with dialogues, and the author does an amazing job of like embodying Van Gogh or like Michelangelo, the way they would talk, the way they would, actually react. Like, it's really good. So I would recommend that. Also, another thing that I've read recently that I really liked, I read for the second time, guys, Deep Work by Cal Newport. And now, we talk about routines and rituals, and I believe that is essential if you want to be remarkable in any arena of life. I have now basically identified a few habits that if I do these habits every single day, and I kind of jot them here on this like daily habits thing, if I do these habits every day, my day is successful. Like, I don't care. People answer the email, people answer the phone, the job fell through. I don't give a shit because I'm here just working on the habits. And one of the habits is, so the habits are basically divided into 5 areas of my life. Okay. Spiritual, fitness, work, family, and like mental health. So I can tell you right now, if every day I do cardio in the morning, which I do while listening to an audiobook or watching a course, and then I do some pull-ups on my pull-up bar, which is in my vocal booth, and a few push-ups every single day, I'm good. And some people might laugh. They might be like, 3 sets of 10 push-ups? Come on. That's not David Goggins style. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to do it every day forever. Which I know, Arjun, you're a philosopher, cognitive science and philosophy, so you're a smart guy. What did Aristotle say? Excellence is a habit, right? It's not like some one-off action that we do. Whatever you want to become, just make sure you're doing it daily. That's really, I think, the secret of the universe. Like, you want to build your network? Email 3 people a day, not 20. Why not 20? Because you'll give up. It's not sustainable. So I have these habits, and deep work has taught me this. And so as far as my work life is concerned, I've put down in my habit tracker that if I have 2 deep work sessions a day, that means 90 minutes of work on something that the client hasn't asked me to do. Could be this masterclass, it could be like a new project we're developing, a new course, or I don't know, writing a book, whatever no one is waiting for that is important for you as a project. If I can get 2 90-minute blocks in every single day of deep work, that's 3 hours total of deep work, then I consider my professional life a success. It doesn't matter what happens, actually, so deep work, I would recommend it to everyone listening. Anything by Cal Newport, So Good They Can't Ignore You, Deep Work, Life Without Email. Cal Newport is just amazing. He has a podcast, if you're not into books. It's called Deep Questions. Look it up. Yeah, this first module is so important, I think you could be so successful as a musician and so skilled But if you don't have this basis, these routines, these habits, this mindset, the mental health, you're not going to be able to survive in the marathon, because this is a tough life. And these books that I'm reading from Irving Stone, by the way, Bob Dylan biography, another thing not Bob Dylan, but what's his name? Contemporary of Bob Dylan. He died recently. Deep voice, really deep voice. Canadian. He sang Hallelujah.
Leonard Cohen.
Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
Other biography I recommend. I can't remember who the author is, but man, it's a thick volume and I read it. Like, it's good. But you realize when you read like Michelangelo, you read Van Gogh, you read Leonard Cohen, tough life, man. Living in the arts, tough life. If you weren't like, forced by your soul to make music, like why would anyone put themselves through this shit, but the thing is, like, okay, so there's suffering, but like we always say among our team, like, there's pain, but it doesn't have to be suffering. So accept and expect pain, inevitable part of the journey in life in general. But so much of it turns into suffering because we don't have the right mental approach, the perspective. We don't have enough balance, space. Like, we don't treat ourselves well psychologically because we don't have good habits, whatever. And that's what derails a lot of people from running this marathon, because everyone goes through the pain. It's just that some people can stay in and keep running and some can't. And I think that's within your control. So anyway, I'm especially, curious to have, like I told you when we spoke earlier this week, I'm curious to have more conversations with a guy like you, because you're at the intersection of cognitive science, which is like we're x-raying the brain here, seeing what's actually happening, but you're also aware of this invisible dimension, which doesn't show up under a microscope, which often answers the question of how to live. It's not the neuroscientists who teach us how to live. It's the philosophers, but combined. I mean, that's really powerful, right? Does that answer your question? Guys, I feel like I'm rambling too much.
No, yeah, I think that definitely sounds interesting. The lust for life, for sure, sounds interesting. And it's also because I was reading something where someone briefly skimmed over Van Gogh's life and how turbulent it was, and like how he didn't figure out what to do till he was like, I don't know, in his 40s and 50s. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But
if you're into that, you're gonna love that book. I loved the book. I had no idea about all the things that I read in that book. I had no idea that he tried to be a preacher. I had no idea that he tried to like give away all of his worldly possessions, be like Jesus, and he was just like, he almost died basically giving himself to this community that he was living with of minors. Fascinating, guys. You gotta, man, look, huge. I'm huge on these biographies because, especially for us creative people, you want to read about the greats and you want to see what they went through and you want to learn from the good and you want to learn from the bad. So I'm trying to teach my son. I'm like, how do we learn? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what's the best way to learn? And he's like, I don't know, learn by mistakes. I'm like, that's not the best way. The best way is to learn from mistakes of others, because then you don't have to make the mistake. And why would you even make the mistake that someone already made? So let's learn from the mistakes of others. We can read. And so, because when I read Van Gogh's life, I mean, obviously, I don't want to implement some of the things. I'm not him. Also, he was a genius. And with genius, it's a fine line. They're not too far away from going crazy. But we've also had incredible geniuses who didn't go crazy. And, I love that combination. I love a Brian Eno. I love someone who's been commercially successful, but never compromised on his artistic integrity. I love that. Leonard Cohen was the same. Bob Dylan is the same. I think they never compromised. I don't think,
I mean,
So,
you mentioned Leonard Cohen. Have you read anything written by, like, a book by him?
I have not. I have some
I would
poetry books, but I never got into them.
I would like really highly recommend like Beautiful Losers by him, because now it's not
Okay.
for everyone, but I've never read a novel like that ever. You know, like it's
Okay.
just a piece of art on its own. I don't know. Like it's weird and like, yeah, just never read anything like it.
I wrote it down, man. Beautiful Losers, Leonard Cohen. Thanks, brother. Keep going, and yeah, whenever you have questions, we're here for you, okay? You have an incredible voice, by the way. You got to bless the world with it, man.
Thank you so much.
All right. Do we have anything else, Jonah? Anyone here? Any questions we haven't answered? If not, well, you can look at YouTube's.
Someone asked earlier in the Zoom chat, Yoel, I hope I'm saying that correctly. How do you match the BPM of the production to the spot? Do you have to figure out a tempo to the film that follows? What, I guess, just best practice?
Yeah. So what I do, I think it's in the masterclass. If you look at the Mitsubishi spot, I try to find the rhythm by bringing in the rough edit into the DAW and then playing with the metronome and then seeing at which BPM do I see the cuts in the edit actually happening rhythmically. And if it lines up more than it doesn't, then that's the area that I want. And sometimes I find the tempo will change even within your track, because it might be good for 80% of the track, but there might be a point in the track where you want things are not lining up properly. So you build a little automation ramp to speed up the tempo, hit what you need to hit, and then bring it back down or up or whatever. So, you know, stealing time, it's it's a very important thing in composing music for media. But that's how I do it. I don't know if Matteo or Jonah, you guys have, as guys who are constantly, you know, creating music for media. I mean, you have any tips?
I do exactly the same.
Yeah.
There are most of the, or maybe not most of the time, but sometimes I just watch the film and I just kind of start nodding along, and it's whatever feels comfortable.
Yeah.
I
will literally mouth the track. Like I'm watching the edit and I'll be like, no, actually it's not good enough. You know, so it's like, you got to like figure that out. But one tip is this, like, number one, the reference track will probably determine your tempo. If everyone likes the reference track, make your track the same tempo as the reference track. That's simple. I had another brilliant tip, which I just forgot. And it was, yeah, that the editor has probably edited the rough edit to some kind of a track. It's probably at a specific tempo. It's incredible, but they don't edit usually without music. So you will find that the cuts in the edit probably correspond to a very specific tempo. And that's what I say, bring in the rough edit, set your tempo at whatever, and ride the BPM thing until you find like click, 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 click. Oh, car appears right on the one. Click, 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 click. Oh, shit, the building appears right on the 3. It doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, as long as it hits on something. Because if it hits on something, it means that I can accentuate it. I can put the snare with a delayed reverb there to accentuate that shot. I can put a crash there. I can do whatever. But even if it doesn't line up perfectly, which it never will, like I said, you automate the tempo, or you make some edits in the music. You sometimes shift some things so that they don't make sense if you were to compose a track. But, you know, composers do this all the time, where they shift stuff and the one comes sooner after the break than you expect. But that's what you do as a media composer. So hope that's helpful. Anything else, Jonah, on YouTube's? I know there was actually someone sent me an email. They said they can't be at our little campfire, but they asked me to address the email. I'm just gonna look that up. I don't want to miss anything. We don't want to leave anyone behind here. Let's see. Yeah. TJ asked, I put up a few questions on the chat for Wednesday. If they aren't there when you start, here they are again. What percentage who sincerely implement what they've learned from your program actually get at least of some kind of part-time work? Thank you. That's hard for me to answer. And the reason why is because there are people who we've learned about that they've done like 30, 40 jobs since they started the masterclass. And we learn almost by coincidence. Like they didn't tell, oh yeah, I was going to tell you, man, life's been crazy. I haven't even had time to email you. So I'm like, how many people are there like that? As far as I'm concerned, I think it's always going to be the minority. I don't want to give you percentages, because it's not scientific for me to do so. But I just found in my life, when I observe everything, most people who take the master class, like the majority, more than 50%, do not send me their homework. They don't show up on calls. Maybe they bought it impulsively. I don't know. Like we always talk about, we've established the philosophy for the masterclass. It's almost like a gym, okay? You pay a premium, it's a premium gym. We are not responsible for your commitment to your career as a craftsperson. We're here to help and show you a concrete path, and we do everything we can to help you improve the skills, get a feeling for where you are, give you very specific steps. But I cannot help someone who's not going to show up. I can't help someone who's not going to send homework. I can't help someone who's not going to take the opportunity to show up on a call, ask questions. But we're not worried about them because we're willing to give whoever shows up all the time they need. We have people who've been sending us like 50 emails since they started the masterclass. It's been a year now. They're still like, can you look at my site and see if the bio's good and blah, blah, blah. We never refuse. We never refuse. And thankfully, because of this law of life, where it is always the minority who will actually be diligent and who will actually follow through and have the patience and persistence, that's why we can attend at scale to attend to each and every one of you. But percentage-wise, I couldn't tell you what it is. It's always the minority. It's always the minority. How long should someone intensely pursue the goal before saying it's a dream or I don't have it and move on to something else? That's a very good question. I think that, first of all, you have to accept, and I say this in the masterclass, but I want to say it again. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Okay? It took me 3 years to get my skills anywhere close to where I was comfortable in sharing them with the industry. So everything depends on your journey. I cannot tell you exactly what the window of time is because I don't know where you are on the journey exactly. But a few important things I would say, and I want Jonah and Matteo to jump in on this, is if you're not getting any validation from strangers who don't give a shit about you, about whatever it is that you're doing, years into your journey, it may be time to look at pivoting. I'll give you some inspiration also. There are people who have entered our industry thinking that they will be composers. Like me. I thought I was going to be a music maker. I was going to be the beat maker, the electronic musician. I was going to make all the music. It turns out that my skill set was actually more aligned with being a music producer, being in charge of composers, than being a composer myself. So that's another thing to consider. It's like, don't force a certain idea for your career. Okay. See what the world is responding to you when you knock on the doors of the world. See what's happening. If, not your cousin, not your friend, but if an outsider is telling you, look, I've listened to your compositions and I don't think, it's not going to happen. And maybe it's not going to happen yet. Maybe there are 3 steps that you have to take to get better as a composer. Or maybe they say, look, 10 people have told you that don't know you, that your music is not going to put you in a place to succeed. That doesn't mean you have to give up on music altogether. Maybe you can be a music producer. Guys, I can't tell you, I've dealt with music producers in our business. I don't even want to say anything to give away, because it might be revealed that, you might figure out who they are or whatever. I've worked with people who haven't opened a Pro Tools session, a DAW. They haven't opened a DAW in their life, ever. And they made millions from this industry as owners of music production companies. So for me, it's about what is your superpower? Because everyone has one and they have to cultivate it. And maybe it's not music, but that doesn't mean you can't work in the music industry. That doesn't mean you can't be in the studio. It just means that if you're not able to compete at a world-class level against composers, don't force it, because it ain't going to happen anyway. There's nothing you can do, right? So you have to have external feedback from the world, from someone who knows what they're talking about. And they might tell you, look, you're not good now, but you can be good in whatever, a year or 2, whatever. I don't know what the window frame is. Maybe you should never give up on music, but maybe you're not going to do it professionally. It's not for everyone, and maybe you'll have a sense of relief when you actually go, okay, so I'm doing this for a living, and maybe it's even in a creative business. So I love it because it gives me creative expression. But yeah, music, I look forward to coming home at night and using it as a way to, express myself without the need to make money with it. So, but we've certainly created this to help those who are hell-bent on cashing in on their musical skill and developing their musical skill in a way that's still gonna be likely to pay you, where everything else is kind of I don't know. I don't even know, because I'm not trying to get 1 million Spotify plays. I'm not trying to sell singles. I'm not trying to tour. I know there's projects. I know they have big budgets. We're working on them from time to time. I mean, to give you an idea, we don't even run a huge production company. And the small amount of projects that we get every year, that's enough to it's been enough to sustain me ever since I went on my own. So yeah, but it's so hard for me to answer that question, talk to us, send us some music. I don't know if you shared music with us, but we'll certainly be able to evaluate where you're at. We'll help you to improve your skill set from where you're at. And Matteo, I just had a conversation with you the other day, and we've been talking about the level of musical production, skill set from various students, right? And you said to me, because I commented on how good you are at giving feedback as someone, who is a craftsperson themselves. And you said to me that you've seen really delightful progression from some people, where they sent you a piece of homework, you listen to it and you're like, oh yeah, that's going to need some work. And then you tell them what to do. They actually come back to you, they do it, and you're like, holy shit.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
yeah.
don't give up too soon.
I think so. I mean, it's just, I mean, just to give you a little bit of my experience when I was going to enter this beautiful world like 2 years ago. I was not very, I was not very confident because, yeah, well, I always produce music and stuff like that. But I knew that at some point, if I want to do this kind of stuff, maybe I'm very good at it, maybe I'm not, but I need feedback from someone who's into that,
Yep.
listens to this kind of music every day, faces this kind of projects every day. And so it was just when, Tommy got back to me and said, yeah, you belong to this business. So from that moment, everything changed. But sometimes, it's like just our perspective, our personal perspective is just not enough. And it's good in a way, because I think music is emotions, and emotions are something that you have to share. So if people around you, if people that are doing this as a day job, as a real job, they tell you, this is really good, this is probably good. So you just have to push it, and you'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
So I would say like TJ, share your stuff. Let us hear it, and then we figure out a recipe for you. That's the only way to go, man. And don't give up too soon. Anyway, Jonah, I see some questions coming in here.
Let's get Cohen in here. Is that how you pronounce it, Cohen?
Yes, it
Bring
is.
him into the circle.
Oh, oops.
Hi, Tommy. Nice to see you. Nice to see everyone. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, good to see you again. There you are.
Thank you. I just had a
How's
quick
it going?
question about Reels.
Yep.
Is there a way to get the videos that you could use for the Reels, or if you take like say YouTube videos and use stuff like that, is there any else like copyright issues or legal issues associated if you were to do something like that, or what would you recommend for sourcing for videos for your Reels?
You mean videos that you can actually post on your website?
Yeah, that you could put music to and use as as a resume sort of thing for your work.
Like, so what I would do, like, so if I was to use videos to score music to build my portfolio, I would use the best campaigns you can find. Like literally the best ones in the world. Like take the Super Bowl Nike spot and score that.
Okay.
It has to align with your genre, with your sound. So obviously, like take things that are best, but that's not something that you can feature on your site, like we said before, because you didn't work on it. But if your skill is great, I mean, you're gonna produce a really great track inspired by this visual, and so that's gonna be in your archive, and you can feature that track in your website. But I wouldn't feature the video. The problem with videos that you can use on your website that are like copyright free or whatever is I've seen people do that, and it just doesn't have a great effect to me. So in fact, like, it's like some ambient waterfall or some like shit that's like kind of moving but maybe not moving.
Yeah.
Because the visual is not impactful, it almost brings down the whole impression for me.
Understand what you're saying.
Whereas if the music was by itself, like naked, I would just judge the music on its own merit. That's why I don't need to see it with the visual. If someone's music is good enough, then like, and I'm looking for that particular style, then I'm going to send them the rough edit, go, hey, let me see how you would do on this, and then see in real life application, like how would you tackle it? And if you do it well, then great, then, we keep going. And if not, then, so I don't know, maybe some other people have recommendations on videos that you could actually put your music to on the website. Unfortunately, I don't. And maybe this is, Jonah, something good that we can look into for the masterclass as a resource. Like,
Yeah.
right? Imagine if we could find like some really cool stuff.
That would be videos to share that you can
Yeah.
to use in that sense. Yeah, that would actually be excellent. Yeah, just had that question pretty much. Also as well for the website, if you already have a website, do you recommend still creating another website?
For what?
If you already have a website, do you recommend creating another website, just specifically related to the masterclass?
Probably. It depends on your website. Like the reason why we teach the website build in a very specific way is so that it really, like the goal of that website is to create as little friction as possible and someone clicking a big play button finding out what you're about.
Okay.
That's why I don't care about anything. I don't want bios, I don't want anything. I just want that play button with your best music. Because that's our best answer to, like,
should it be in our name for the website, or
yeah,
okay, so make it in
Yeah.
our actual name. Okay.
yeah, put it under your name. Because yeah, I mean, the problem is, like with artist websites, is that like when you send an artist website to a music producer in advertising, they don't know where to look. Like they're like, so which album should I check out? And then, oh, that's the latest single. Okay, and then they listen to the latest single. They're like, oh, it's an R&B guy, and you're like, if you're a composer or like songwriter or a music maker with various abilities and genres, you're like, you've just been pigeonholed as an R&B guy.
Right.
That's the problem with like artist sites. They just like, so I would target, what you might do is, like, if you have a website that's an artist website, like create a page on that site that's just for media composition. And that page doesn't even have to be visible to like the people who visit you as an artist.
All right.
You just send that link, that specific page on your artist site to music producers. And then they look at that page, they click that button, and they're like, oh shit, I like his stuff. Oh, what else is there? And then they look at your artist stuff. But then you've made an impression already with like diverse stuff, right? So
Yeah. Great tips, Tommy. Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Thank you,
Keep up
man.
the great work. Thanks again.
Thanks, man. Are you a Toronto Maple Leaf fan?
Yes, I am. I'm in Toronto as well too. So
Oh, right on, man.
definitely. Blue Jays right now, though.
Oh, next time I'm in Toronto, man, I'll hit you up.
Sounds great. Look forward to that. Thank you.
Okay, man. All the best. Yeah.
Let's bring in Chris. How you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going? Can you guys hear me okay?
Hey, Chris. We can. How you doing, Chris?
Awesome. Great. What a wild ride. I've been trying to sneak the Zoom conference in while I've been working my ass off in a machine shop.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I'm not sure if this question was asked earlier. I missed the first maybe 20, 30 minutes. I'm kind of at the point where I would like to start developing my website, but I had a question regarding doing obviously I can't put the spots on that I'm practicing with.
Yep.
I've got a few friends that do film documentary style, and I'm asking for some short clips that I can use and maybe put some scores to it.
Yep.
But what would you recommend outside of just regular audio production?
As far as showcasing your work?
Yes.
I think that kind of relates to the previous question. For me, it's really tough, to suggest anything other than like putting your best music, even if it's by itself without a visual. Because the thing is, if the music is really good, if the first 5 seconds really grabs me, then I'll hold on for next 5 seconds, and then 5 seconds after that. And then you're telling your story. For me, it's already enough to go, oh shit, Chris is not fooling around. This is amazing. I'm getting goosebumps. This is great stuff. And then the conversation starts. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you say to me, look, man, I'll give anybody goosebumps, but I'm working in a machine shop, so I just need an opportunity. So send me a video, let me score it, and then I'll show you. That's what I would do. The second thing that we spoke about earlier in the call is this. Take commercials that appeal to you, that resonate with you, that you don't think are shit, that actually align with your musical vibe, score to them, okay? Literally, I recommend this to everyone just getting into our business. Spend the next 90 days scoring a commercial every single day. 90 minutes at night. You take a commercial, you just score it. That way you build up your reel, your archive, But then if you ever email someone and they listen to your reel and they go, shit, that's amazing. But like, do you have any videos? Like, have you scored anything? You can be totally transparent and say, I'm just getting into the business. So my music making ability is at a high level, but I'm just getting into this business. I just learned about it. So I'll tell you what I could do is share with you things that I've been doing visually, but I can't put them on my website because they weren't my final. That's what you can say. Like
Okay.
that. Just keep it like that. And then share a private link. That way you keep your reputation, you keep everything on the up and up. You're not trying to pretend that you did some Super Bowl ad or some ad. No. But that still conveys your ability to write the picture. I don't give a shit if you never got the final. This is your music on a spot and it works. So therefore you have the ability, therefore I should give you a try. That's how I look at it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So I don't really have to worry too much about not having a lot of video content, but just the audio can get the conversation started.
All the biggest guys in our business, they started with no reel. Just remember that. I know it's like shockingly obvious, but we forget about that and you start overthinking and like, dude, everyone started without a reel.
Yeah.
So the thing that's going to get you in is your music. Yeah, it might be tough in the beginning because some producers are idiots. They're like, I need to see a reel before I even work with anyone. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's ridiculous. And no genius in the music business has ever done that. Right? Like, great producers don't ask for accolades. They recognize talent and they pluck it before anyone else does, man. But the music has to be remarkable. So that's why I say, like, video, no video, whatever. If the music gives goosebumps, we'll figure the rest out.
Okay. Yeah, there was a bit you did in the master class where it was just your reel, and it seemed like it was basically audio just kind of tied into each other. And I kind of figured that. I got a pretty good idea what I'd like to do. I think it'll be fun.
That's how I started, man.
That, man.
I just had that.
Yeah.
I just had the reel, the 90-second reel, and I wish I still had it because it was really good. I mean, maybe if I listened to it now, I'd be like, oh, that's outdated. But like, I worked so hard on that, like a year probably on that 90 seconds, but I didn't work on 90 like little pieces of tracks. I just kept making music for a year, and then I had like 100, 200 tracks to choose from that basically told the whole story, because it wasn't just about like fast-paced electronic. It was also about like ambient, and it was about this and that, like, or a bit of orchestral. So, yeah, you'll get there, man. If your music is on a high level and you're a good guy, and like I said, like if someone gives you an opportunity, you turn around and you answer the problem well. It's that simple, but it's not easy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been really fun so far. I love it. It's great.
Right on, brother. Well, this sitting in the car trying to squeeze in the call while you're at a day job, that's what great musical biographies are made of. So embrace this also, man. Like the fact that you're there. I mean, we have James. I don't know if he's on this call, but like he was working with William Orbit recently. Like kind of, I think he stopped doing music for a while. Then he joined the master class, and he told me that he would spend his lunch hours in the car with his laptop, like working on the music.
Oh, I got one for you. When working at my shop, I would have an Ableton session going while I would be running 2 or 3 machines, and I would just have like a generative type stuff going. And yeah, it'd be like an hour and a half session, just constantly moving. It's great. You just can't stop.
I love it. People are getting sucked into the assembly line. There's like fires exploding.
Yeah, I don't care.
This is amazing.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, well, don't die, but you got to stay alive to have a shot at the can,
Right.
Right on, Chris.
Awesome.
Any questions you have,
you.
brother? We're here for you, okay?
Cool, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, man. Later. Okay. Great way to test mixes, says Pedro. Do we have any other?
Yeah. Paul, he has another question. Let me get you in here.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Just another quick question, if that's okay.
Sure.
In relation to what we were talking about before, with how long do we stay in this game for? Have you got any advice as an older generation person like myself, 50 plus? I mean, I've been at this for like 30 plus years, and I've had various ups and downs throughout. And but any specific obstacles or pitfalls I should look out for as a 50 plus person going into town getting some work for ads?
I think it doesn't have as much to do with age as it has with the context. So, for instance, if you're a blues guy, age actually is like the older you are, the better you get, probably, right?
Yeah.
Blind Willie. I mean, you can keep going, whatever. But so it's about the context. So we've had a few people who are older in the master class, and one gentleman I advised, he had a great voice, like a Frank Sinatra voice. I said, you can run that all day, and no 20-year-old can compete with you. So it's not about age. It's about tapping into the look, at the end of the day, all that matters is what comes out of the speaker and what it does to the listener.
Yeah. So you've not seen any kind of examples of any sort of age discrimination or anything like that happening?
Well, Paul, let me put it to you this way, man. If I repeat, all that matters is what comes out of the speaker and what it does to the listener.
Yeah.
Oh, you're 57? Oh, fuck no. Goosebumps disappear. I can't work with a 57-year-old with irresistible music. Music, that's the beautiful thing about music. If you're able to solve a creative problem, because we're talking about not just music, but it has to solve a creative brief problem, it has to work with the story. As long as you're able to do that and give goosebumps and support the story, it doesn't matter how old you are. I will grant you that there are a lot of younger guys in the game, but when we worked, for instance, and this is back in the day when I worked on some really sophisticated orchestral stuff, we weren't calling the 22-year-old. Yeah. We were calling the 55-year-old who has experience in orchestration and they've been there before and they understand what they're doing.
Well, I guess that works in your favor, really, doesn't it? I've come from, in my 20s doing dance music for 10 years and then in my 30s doing film music. So you can a lot of them hopefully come together in the end,
As long as you stay sharp and you're able to solve creative problems, to me, music is blind, absolutely blind. It doesn't matter. It's absolutely blind. You just have to find your fit, because there's so many ways to fit in as a musician in different ways. So maybe this kind of advertising is not for you, but maybe it's this kind of campaigns. Maybe it's not advertising at all, but a different section of the music industry. I don't know, but that's something that, you have to kind of gauge as you move on this path and get feedback and then,
Yeah, I mean, I do definitely come from it from a film music perspective, and that's what I have been doing for the last, God knows how many years. And it was interesting watching the chat you had with Genevieve. Is it Genevieve Vincent?
Genevieve, yeah.
Vincent, she's bouncing between both worlds equally, which was nice to hear.
Absolutely. So yeah, don't age is not, I want you to really be cognizant of those voices in your head. And I want you to read biographies of people who are succeeding well into their 80s or whatever. Really work on that, because it's a weird voice that can sap your power And
I know that voice well.
yeah, it can sap your power and people can perceive it. So like here, you're free. This is what it's here for. You're supposed to share your vulnerability and ask those questions. But when you go out into the mean world, be careful, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one can believe in you.
Yeah.
And I just don't see how age has anything to do with being able to take people to another dimension with music.
Yeah.
There are many artists and composers who are a testament to that throughout history. So
yeah. Cool. Thanks.
Keep your head up, Paul, man. You've been in it for a while. I mean, think about what kind of an instinct you have.
Yeah.
How many different kitchens you've been a part of in different contexts. I mean, come on, dude. Like
it's all beneficial. It's all experience which you bring, hopefully bring to the table later on.
You're a walking Wikipedia of music, and also that comes in very handy because as you notice, even in advertising, styles come back because they're trying to hit the 30, 40, 50-year-olds. A lot of times campaigns will hit them with the sound of their youth.
Oh yeah, 90s dance music is back.
90s dance music is something like,
at the moment, yeah.
People have no idea. My kids don't know that they're listening to a classic house track in a commercial. But I'm like, you guys have no idea. You know, this 4 on the Floor 909 and the piano. I mean, you guys have no idea. They think it's new.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so anyway. Thanks,
cool.
Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Tommy.
Good to have you here. Okay, and yeah, Pedro, we're looking for a modern track, exactly. I hope you guys can hear me well. I'm going through my MacBook mic today.
We have one more person, Aneb. I also hope I'm saying that right.
Unless it's NB.
NB.
You're on mute though. Let's see if we can unmute you here. Can we unmute? Do we have this power?
I think we can only ask to unmute.
Oh, ask to unmute. So bottom left, you'll see a little mic icon. You just have to.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
So what's
Good
the
afternoon.
mystery? Is it Aneb or is it your wife's laptop that you're on?
That's my wife's laptop I'm using to be able to attend that set. It's perfect.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, I'm 200 kilometers away from my studio.
We'll call you Aneb anyway.
Yes, perfect. Sounds good to me. No, I just have a question in my mind concerning the Music for Brands experience. My strength, I would say, or as you call your superpower, I think for me would be like drums and percussions. So I'm just wondering, is there any possibility to be able to work in the Music for Brands business, even if you, for example, if you need a drum track or something, or percussion tracks or anything this, is it something that would be possible to do?
I think it is possible, though not to the extent and a degree that may make it enough to make it a significant part of your income.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the real answer, because even like 15 years ago, I was still hiring session drummers, and they would come into the studio. And now I would be likely to do that too, except they wouldn't come in the studio. So I would ask you to record something remotely. So that's very important, that you would have the ability to do so and send me something on a fast turnaround. And that exists as a possibility, but not to the extent, like I said, where it's like expect a brief every week. It wouldn't be that.
Okay. Okay, I understand.
So either you develop your composition skills or also, I know drummers who are music producers.
Yeah. Well,
so like I said, you go above, like you're not just a composer, but you're more of a, creative director in charge of a few different composers, or like a Brian Eno, like a producer. You understand all the aspects, or a Phil Collins. I don't know, but that's where I would explore if you want to be more busy and active.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Perfect. Thank you very
Hope
much.
that helps. Yep.
Yep. Thank you.
What, by the way, who are you? Tell me your name, because I don't know.
Oh, I'm Ben, by the way.
Ben. Okay.
Yes.
Good to meet
Last
you, Ben.
time I communicate with you was with the Westworld scoring competition.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I did a score for that. So I can play different instruments and everything, but I was like, because my superpower is more
The
towards
drums,
the
yeah.
drums and
Yeah.
perctions, I was just wondering if it
You
would
never
be
know,
possible
man.
to do anything.
Yeah. It has a huge kind of a renaissance where people suddenly are like, I don't want anything from a machine. you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
it's
I
like we want to
understand.
hear real drummers, but I'm a very pragmatic, realistic guy. I would say, as far as advertising goes,
Yeah.
I wouldn't spend a significant amount of time trying to develop that. Like, if you get in touch with music production companies, I would say, tell them, hey, I can send you drum performance, high fidelity, like you never heard before, and make sure they know that. But if you want to be busier, offer something that we are
Yeah.
more in need of on a regular basis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Right on, Ben. Good
Thanks.
to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
Okay, ciao. Okay, guys, I thought this was going to be an hour, but
Nothing wrong with 2 hours.
nothing wrong, man. Is there any other question that's right on, Nathan? Thank you for being here. Guys, first of all, we appreciate you being here. Right? I mean, it feels good, Matteo, Jonah, right? When we're surrounded with people. So we want to thank you for being here. It doesn't feel great to me when we see a new student enroll and then we never hear from them again. Because ultimately, for me, the great feeling comes from like that guy, like Matteo, man, living in a village. He had no idea about ads. Royal Canine. Anybody that has a dog knows that brand. Royal Canine, the biggest dog food brand in the world, and he scores their sound logo. A guy from a village in Italy.
Doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
That's
So
random doing your homework.
People, I am on a hunt to harness and to transform you guys from not knowing anything about this world to suddenly working on multiple jobs, making good money. That's what feels really good to me. I mean, at the end of the day, let's face it. I mean, that's the stuff that has lasting kind of fulfillment power. Everything else sort of fades, to be honest. And so I really enjoy these sessions when they're like this, when they're fruitful, when people show up, they ask good questions. So we're going to do them every month, guys. We're going to do it in this format. People who are part of the masterclass, they get to be on Zoom. So we actually have to get to have a conversation. And then whoever's not a part of masterclass, well, hey, maybe for some reason you can't join, but you can still sit in on the thing. You can type your question in the comments. If there are any, by the way, one last thing I wanted to talk about is this referral program. Basically now, guys, we have a referral program. You will find the information inside of the masterclass, I think before module 1, you'll see it, referral program. All you got to do is click on the link in the referral program. It's going to take you to a form that you're going to fill out. This form then goes into a spreadsheet that we haven't had a chance to check yet. I've seen some people already sign up. But at the end of this week, Friday, Jonah and I are going to sit down, look at the form, And basically, we're going to generate unique links for you, unique links to a free training. If you want to send your friend to the free training and they end up buying, that link is going to track you as the referrer, and you're going to get basically it's going to be $500 if they buy one-time payment. And if they go for the installments, you're going to get, certain amount of money every single month, whatever the percentage is of that installment. Is basically like 25%, I think, that you're getting from the total price. And also, when you sign up, we're going to send you a link to the free training. If you know somebody who's like, hey, what we're doing, so you're like, trust me, this is amazing. You want to make use of it, and you send them straight to the not the free training, but straight to the masterclass sales page. We're also going to give you, so first of all, it's going to track you as the referrer, but we're also going to give you a coupon code. So that way you're giving them a discount. And at the same time, because we give you a unique coupon code that you will give to your friend or whoever you're referring, we will also double make sure that we're tracking that this sale came from you. So then you get the $500 if they do the one-time payment. So I just figured, because a lot of the people who are in here, they already know this thing. We're friends with a lot of you. You know our pedigree, our DNA. So who is the best ambassador if not you guys? And so if some of you guys can make some money while you're chasing, the jobs out there along with the rest of us, then let's make it happen. So guys, all you got to do is just click the link in the inside of the masterclass, just before module 1, I think it is. It's called the referral program. Fill out the form, make sure you press submit, and then we're going to be back to you with your unique links. And those links you can then share with whoever you want, whether you're part of a Facebook group or you have a specific friend in mind or whatever socials you have. If you want to do it that way, you can share those links and the sale will be attributed to you. And of course, if you have any questions, just hit us up at support@makingmusicforbrands.com if you have questions about that. And I think that's pretty much everything that I want to say. We're going to do this on a monthly basis. For you guys, for masterclass students, it's going to be on Zoom. And then for musicians who are poking through the window, so to speak, it's going to be on YouTube. And we did it. We got through the questions. I think, Jonah, there's no one left behind on the YouTubes with any of these questions.
We had a couple questions on YouTube, but I'm not sure if we want to save those for next time or if we want to go through them now, just because it is 2 hours already.
Yeah, it's been a while. I don't want to keep anybody. What I will do is I will get some good sleep. Jonah maybe will get some good sleep. And can we answer those questions like in the chat within YouTube?
Yeah, we could, if you allow comments on the stream. Yeah, we can. Do that.
Yeah. So we'll do that. We'll do it that way because I don't want to keep talking and whatever. So Jonah, maybe if you have a brilliant answer to offer.
I was gonna say, people that have questions on YouTube, put them in the comments when the stream is over, and then we'll reply to the comments after that.
Right on. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Okay, well, I guess this is it, guys. I want to thank you so much for being here. Really happy to have you as a part of our family. Lots of talent, incredible talent here, lots of great individuals, so many different stories. It's really a blessing, guys, to be able to help you. So thank you for being here. Jonah, thanks for co-hosting. Matteo, thanks for being there, man, and marching together through the rain and the snow and the heat. We just keep moving, guys. This is our story. You get to write it. You're the author of it. And if it wasn't tough, nobody would want to read it. So always remember that when it's difficult, those are the times that are going to be the best parts of your autobiography. Your grandkids are not going to want to hear about how smoothly it went. They're going to want to hear about the bullets and nobody replied. And I had to go 500 miles and knock on somebody's door to get some attention. And it's the shit, it's the resistance, it's the challenges that are gonna, when you look back, gonna be the things that actually make you stronger and that make for a better life story, and that will make you proud for having persisted and having kept going on this marathon. Okay, guys. So big hugs to you all. Sending you my best wishes, and I'll see you next month. And for all you masterclass students, we're always here for you. You know where to send the email. And to all of you on the YouTubes, also sending you my best wishes, big hugs, and keep at it, guys. Keep your head up. Don't worry about anything, and keep moving forward. All right. Later,
Thank
everyone.
you, Tommy.
See you guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Ciao. All the best.
Everybody.
Ciao.
Bye.